I asked my son one simple question over pumpkin pie. Was the $1,000 I sent every month enough? He froze, blinked once, and said, "You sent money?" The room went still. My stepmother dropped her fork. My father reached for the gravy like nothing happened. My half-brother smirked, then looked away. I didn't raise my voice. I just waited. 7 months deployed overseas, working double shifts in a trauma tent while sending money back home. Money meant for my son's rent, his books, his food. And this is what I came home to? A boy who thought I'd abandoned him, and a family who smiled through lies with cranberry sauce on their lips. I came back on a cold Thursday, just in time for Thanksgiving dinner. 7 months overseas in Yemen, long shifts, sand and everything. I hadn't had a real meal in weeks. All I wanted was some peace, a familiar face, maybe a little warmth. Instead, I got tepid stuffing, dry turkey, and silence dressed up as family. We were at my dad's house, the same one I grew up in, at least for a while. He was carving the bird like it was a performance. My stepmom, Darla, was straightening napkins no one had touched. Travis, my half-brother, was busy texting someone under the table. And across from me sat my son, Jason. He looked older than 19, worn down but solid, like a kid holding it together with willpower and caffeine. Same posture I used to have back in nursing school, shoulders straight, eyes tired, smile faint. I reached for the pumpkin pie and asked casually, "Hey bud, was the $1,000 I sent every month enough for rent and food?" Jason blinked. "What money?" I paused, fork in hand. "The money I sent, every month, through Grandpa's account." Jason tilted his head. "You sent money?" The room shifted. Darla's fork hit her plate with a clink. My father coughed and poured more wine. Travis suddenly found the tablecloth fascinating. I didn't say anything, I just kept looking at my son. "What are you talking about?" Jason asked. "I wired $1,000 to Dad's account every first of the month," I said. "For you, your rent, your groceries, books. I wanted you to focus on school." Jason's hand slowly lowered. He looked confused, truly confused. I didn't know that," he said. "Grandma, Darla, said you were under stress, that you couldn't afford to help, that I shouldn't bring it up." There it was, the thing I'd been afraid of since the moment I signed that deployment contract. Not that they'd steal from me, but that they'd steal from him. Travis muttered, "Well, maybe she thought it was better that way." I turned my eyes on him. Better for who? No one answered. I looked at Jason. His eyes were locked on his plate. He wasn't angry. He wasn't crying. He looked like someone who just realized the ground beneath him was made of glass, and it had cracked. I watched him swallow hard. "I worked 2 jobs this semester," he whispered. "I skipped meals. I didn't want to ask you for help because I thought you were struggling. Grandma said, don't be a burden." Darla stood up suddenly. "Well, this is just getting unpleasant. I think I'll make tea." My father cleared his throat. "Let's all calm down, okay? This is family. We're here to be together." Jason spoke up again. "You said she couldn't afford to help me," he said, eyes locked on them now. "You let me believe she didn't care." Darla frowned. "You survived, didn't you?" I stood up. So did Jason. He didn't ask, he didn't hesitate, he just said, "I'm coming with you." And we walked out of that house. No pie, no leftovers, just a weight lifted and a wound freshly opened. We didn't say much in the car. Only when we were 3 blocks away, Jason asked, "You really sent it? Every month?" "Yes," I said quietly. "Every month, on the 1st, like clockwork." He didn't speak for a while after that. Neither did I. We just drove, letting the silence say everything that needed saying. We checked into a roadside inn just past the county line. One of those places with coffee machines older than the internet and scratchy blankets that try too hard. It wasn't much, but it was quiet. No fake smiles, no expectations, just me and Jason. After he fell asleep, still fully clothed, shoes on, breath finally steady, I opened my laptop. I pulled up the transfer history. There it was, every month, $1,000 wired directly to my dad's account. Sometimes on the 1st, sometimes on the 2nd when I was on night shift, but never late. Every transfer tagged with a note. For Jason, tuition, rent, food. And then below that, another $600 labeled home support. That had been the deal. I'd help with utilities and upkeep on my childhood home while they let Travis stay there during his internship. I scrolled through the emails. There were messages from Darla. "Thanks for covering the bills, Rach. You're a lifesaver." One from my dad. "Got the deposit, sweetheart. I'll make sure Jason's set." And Travis? Nothing. Not one thank you, not a check-in, just silence and a history of withdrawals. The rage didn't hit all at once. It came slow, like a leak in the ceiling. You don't notice it until your floor's soaked. I clicked over to the mortgage account. That's when everything tipped. No payments in 5 months. The bank portal listed it in bright red. Temporary hardship pause, approved, filed under my name, my email, my signature. I didn't remember authorizing any of that, because I hadn't. I sat there staring, chest tight, ears ringing. If they hadn't been paying, was I about to lose the house? I refreshed the page, hoping it was a glitch. Then I saw the supporting documents, uploaded ID, typed statement. Rachel Dawes is currently deployed overseas and experiencing financial distress, requesting a pause in mortgage payments due to hardship. And below that, a digital signature, mine, except it wasn't. I snapped the laptop shut. For a second, I couldn't breathe. They'd faked it. Someone had impersonated me to the bank. Someone I trusted, someone who lived in that house, someone who had keys. I didn't cry, not yet. I just got my phone, scrolled through contacts, and hit a name I hadn't tapped in years. Adam Monroe. Back when I was pulling night shifts in trauma, he was a broke law student trying to pass the bar. I once covered his dental bill when his molar cracked the night before an exam. I never mentioned it again. He picked up on the second ring. Rach, wow, still out saving the world? Yeah, I said, voice hoarse. Apparently funding fraud while I'm at it. That got his attention. 30 minutes later, we were sitting across from each other in a near-empty Waffle House. Adam wore a hoodie with a blazer. I wore deployment boots and the same coat I hadn't taken off since the airport. I slid him my laptop. He scrolled. Mortgage logs, transfer receipts, email threads, the pause request. He let out a low whistle. They impersonated you. I nodded. And the money was never for them. It was for Jason. Adam's jaw tightened. You have proof? Every text, every transfer, all time-stamped. Plus, I have a typed agreement from Travis. He promised to cover the mortgage while I was gone. I needed it for the bank. He typed his name at the bottom. He looked up. Rachel, this isn't just bad family behavior. This is criminal. I exhaled. Will I win? He leaned back. You want justice or blood? I looked at him square. I want them to stop pretending I owe them everything. Adam nodded once. Then it's time to knock on some doors. We didn't go straight to the house. We went to the courthouse first. Adam said paper comes before confrontation. Always. So we spent the next morning buried in printers, notarized forms, and courthouse clerks who clearly hated their jobs. He was right. This wasn't just a family mess. This was a paper trail of fraud, and we were going to make sure every dotted I and crossed T could hold up in court. By noon, we had everything. The eviction notice, the formal restitution demand, the forensic audit of the mortgage portal, and the digital signature analysis. He even brought a little recorder just in case someone said something dumb and legally useful. Then we drove to the house, my house. It felt strange calling it that again. I hadn't stepped foot inside in almost a year. I still remembered the creaky floorboards by the hallway closet, the way the front doorknob stuck if you turned it too slow. I remembered giving Travis the keys with a handshake and a promise. Cover the mortgage, keep the place clean, don't let it fall apart. Seemed fair, right? But now, from the driveway, I saw moving boxes, half-packed, labeled in Sharpie, some already taped shut. The curtains were different, the lights were dim, and the whole place had this weird, hollow energy, like a house preparing to forget who it once belonged to. I knocked. The door opened halfway. Travis stood there in a hoodie like he just rolled out of bed. His smile had that signature smugness I used to overlook when we were kids. Not anymore. Well, well, he said, look who's finally home. I brought you something, I said, handing him the envelope. He opened it, glanced inside, and snorted. Eviction notice? Cute. It's binding, Adam said calmly. You've got 30 days. Travis rolled his eyes. Relax. I'm already moving out. Bought my own place. My stomach dropped. You what? He leaned against the doorframe. Yeah, closed on it last week. Figured it was time to treat myself. I looked past him and saw my dad in the kitchen, wrapping dishes. Darla beside him, folding napkins like she was prepping for a dinner party. You're helping him move? I asked. Darla smiled without meeting my eyes. He needed a fresh start. With what money? I asked. Travis, where did the down payment come from? He shrugged. From not wasting cash on rent. Duh. Adam spoke up. She means the mortgage he never paid. Travis grinned. Tomato, tomato. I turned to my parents. And you're fine with this? My dad crossed his arms. You weren't using the house. I wasn't using it because I was overseas trying to support my son, I snapped. Darla sighed like I was being dramatic. No one forced you to send money. That money wasn't for you, I said through my teeth. It was for Jason, for his tuition, for rent. You told him I couldn't help, that I didn't care. Travis rolled his eyes. He's fine. He survived. Don't act like it's some Greek tragedy. Adam stepped forward. You impersonated Rachel to submit a financial hardship request to the bank. That's fraud. And we have the signed digital contract stating you'd cover the mortgage. You agreed. Travis shrugged. Typed my name, not signed. That's not a real contract. Oh, it is, Adam replied, pulling out a second envelope. And you'll be hearing from us again, this time about the mortgage, the impersonation, and the theft. Travis looked at me like I was the one out of line. You're just jealous. I figured life out better than you ever did. That's when I reached into my coat pocket, clicked the little recorder, and hit save. I didn't say anything else. I didn't need to. They had lied, stolen, manipulated. And now I had all of it on paper, in emails, in audio. As we walked back to the car, Adam glanced at me and said, "They don't even realize they've already lost." I didn't answer. I was too busy thinking about what I'd tell Jason. The courthouse smelled like floor wax and nerves. Jason sat beside me in the hallway, knees bouncing, earbuds in, but no music playing. Just a defense mechanism, like armor for sound. Inside my bag were copies of everything. The transfers, the emails, the contract, the mortgage freeze documents, and the recorder. Adam had everything color-coded in a binder so thick it looked like it could stand trial on its own. When our case was called, I took a breath and followed Adam into the courtroom. Jason hesitated a moment, then came with me. He didn't have to testify, but he wanted to be there, wanted to hear the truth land where it mattered. Across the aisle sat my dad, Darla, and Travis. 3 people who once sent me birthday cards, now looking like strangers in business casual. Their lawyer looked like he'd been picked from a budget bin, tan suit, scuffed shoes, a man who mistook confidence for volume. He stood and addressed the judge first. Your Honor, this case is simply a misunderstanding. The plaintiff sent money voluntarily to her father's account. No formal contract was in place. Therefore, it meets the legal definition of a gift. Adam didn't flinch. The judge, a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and a tighter mouth, leaned forward. Do we have any documentation regarding the plaintiff's intent? Adam stood, calm as ever. We do, Your Honor. He handed over a packet of emails and text message screenshots. The judge flipped through them. One read, Jason's tuition is coming up. Make sure he gets the transfer this week. Same amount, $1,000. Another, if I'm a day late this month, just cover it and I'll reimburse. He needs the money for books. The opposing lawyer tried to pivot. Intent is not the same as a binding agreement. Adam looked at him. We also have a digital rental agreement typed by the defendant, Travis Dawes, where he agreed to pay the mortgage in exchange for occupancy. Typed names are not signed names, the lawyer said weakly. Adam smiled slightly. And yet here's the part where your client filed for a mortgage hardship pause, using my client's name, social, and email, without her consent. The judge looked up. You're alleging identity theft? We're not just alleging it, Your Honor. We have proof. Adam clicked the recorder. A familiar voice played through the speakers. Ethan's voice. You impersonated her to pause the loan. Travis's voice, smug and careless. You should be grateful. I paused the payment so the house didn't go into foreclosure. It's not like I trashed the place. The courtroom went still. The judge tapped her pen twice, then set it down. I see, she said. That was enlightening. From that moment on, the defense unraveled. My dad was called to the stand. He spoke about how they rescued me from the system, about how I owed them, about how Jason didn't need that much money anyway. Darla dabbed her eyes with a tissue every time the judge glanced her way. Then came Travis. Hair slicked back, voice trembling just enough to seem sincere. He said I had offered the house, that we were family, that he did his best. He even claimed the mortgage pause was at my request. She was stressed overseas, he said. I was just trying to help. Adam leaned forward. Your Honor, he said, that contradicts both the agreement and the recording. We're requesting full restitution, damages, and court costs. The judge didn't even blink. I'll review the documentation tonight. We'll reconvene for ruling tomorrow. Outside the courtroom, Jason didn't say anything. He didn't need to. But his face, the relief, the disbelief, the beginning of healing said everything. For the first time in months, he looked like a kid again. The ruling came the next morning. We sat in the same courtroom, same stiff benches, same cold air that made you feel like everything sacred was being aired out under fluorescent lights. The judge didn't waste time. She ruled in our favor. Full repayment of the $9,600 meant for Jason. Restitution for the 6 missed mortgage payments. Damages for identity theft and emotional distress. And court costs. Adam squeezed my shoulder when the ruling was read. Jason looked down at his hands and didn't move. Not out of shock, out of exhaustion. But there was a catch. Travis didn't have the money. He had spent it, all of it, on a down payment for the new house he'd just treated himself to. A house now titled in his name, but well beyond his actual financial reach. His lawyer requested a payment plan, said Travis would go bankrupt otherwise, that it would be devastating for him. The judge didn't budge. 2 weeks passed. Travis missed the payment deadline. Then came the transfer order. The house, the one he bought using money meant for Jason, was seized and signed over to me. Turns out the equity lined up almost exactly with what he owed. It wasn't poetic justice. It was just justice. I walked through that house the next morning, alone. The walls still smelled like fresh paint and false promises. Half of Travis's furniture was gone. There was a lone chair in the living room, a mug in the sink, a broken lamp in the corner. It didn't feel like a home, not yet. But it was mine. I called a rental agent the same day, had them listed immediately. By the end of the week, I had tenants lined up. Solid income, clean record, quiet professionals. The first deposit hit my account just as Jason called. He didn't say hello, just, "So we won?" I smiled. "We did." He hesitated. "I quit my second job." "Good," I said. "You deserve sleep again." He paused. "Would it be okay if I kept the barista shift once a week? I kinda like it." "Of course," I said. "Whatever brings you peace." We didn't need to say more. Later that month, I came home, for good this time. No deployment, no courtroom, no borrowed houses. Just me, Jason, and the future we were finally allowed to build. We found a modest 2-bedroom apartment near his campus in Lafayette. Clean, bright, close to the bus line. I didn't move in with him, he was 19 after all. But I rented the unit next door, so I could cook him dinner on Sundays, lend him my printer, and stand by if he ever needed anything again. His walls had real bookshelves now. His fridge had food he chose. And his smile, it was starting to reach his eyes again. The snow came early that year. Jason met me outside his campus coffee shop, bundled in a thrifted coat, pencil tucked behind one ear. He looked calm, not carefree, but grounded, like someone who finally had space to breathe. We ordered 2 lattes, found a corner table, and sat across from each other like we hadn't survived a court case, like we weren't still nursing the bruises of betrayal. We just looked like a mom and her son on a cold Tuesday afternoon. He took a sip and said, "I blocked them." I didn't ask who, I didn't need to. "Grandpa, Darla, Travis, all of them," he continued. "I kept thinking I'd feel guilty, but I don't, I just feel quiet." I nodded. "That quiet? That's peace, hold on to it." Jason smiled slightly. "I think I will." The money from the rental property started going straight into his account. Groceries, housing, textbooks, it was all covered now. I didn't need to micromanage it. He didn't need to justify any of it. He was free to focus on being a student, a young man, a person, not a problem to fix. One Sunday, while we were making spaghetti, he said, "It's weird how much easier school feels now." And I got it, I really did. When you've spent your whole life drowning, just being able to breathe feels luxurious. He applied for a research scholarship in biomedical engineering. Got it too. Not because of connections or pity or luck. He earned it. Because he finally had a chance to show up whole. I went back to work, not another deployment, but something local. A clinic in town needed an extra pair of hands. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest. And every day I clocked in, I did it knowing that Jason was safe, stable, and okay. Not because I saved him, but because I gave him the room to save himself. We had our routine, Sunday dinners, movie nights if he had the time. I'd text him, "Call me when you can," and sometimes he'd do it right away. Sometimes it'd take a few days. And that was okay. He wasn't clinging to me out of desperation anymore. He was building a life. One night, over garlic bread and soda, he asked, "Do you ever miss them?" I thought for a moment. "No," I said honestly. "Not their birthdays, not the guilt trips, not the noise disguised as love." He nodded. "Me neither." Then we tapped our forks like they were champagne glasses and laughed. That was the moment I realized we'd done it. We had broken the cycle, not perfectly, not easily, but completely. The house they tried to steal, it was paying for his dreams. The lie they told, it was unraveling. The silence they imposed, it was gone, replaced with something real, something earned. Some people inherit silence, others learn to weaponize it. We used it to rebuild. And for the first time in years, I wasn't bracing for impact. I wasn't flinching when the phone rang. I wasn't pouring into people who only knew how to drain. I was living. So, did I go too far or not nearly far enough? I'll let you decide. But I do know this. Family isn't who demands loyalty while stealing from your child. Family is who shows up when it matters, quiet, steady, and true. And finally, I get to be that person. Sometimes the people who owe you the most will be the ones who act like you owe them everything. But healing isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming your power, your peace, and your future, one quiet choice at a time. This story wasn't just about betrayal. It was about choosing truth over tradition and self-respect over silence. And if you've ever been made to feel like asking for help was a crime, let this be your reminder. You are not a burden, you are not unworthy, and you are not alone. Here at Sweet Revenge, Happy Ending, we believe that setting boundaries isn't cruelty, it's clarity. that standing up for yourself is not selfish, it's survival, and that sometimes the best revenge is just choosing to finally breathe free. If this story moved something in you, don't forget to hit subscribe, tap the bell icon, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Your healing matters, your voice matters, and your ending, it can still be sweet.